Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ice Cold Takes podcast. I'm your host, Joey DeMeglio, and this week I have StatBoy Steven joining me yet again. Oh, wait for it. It's a new toy for the podcast. I got a mixer, so now you can hear things like this. Oh, man, I'm in love with this thing already. Big day for the Rangers yesterday on Wednesday. They signed Vincent Trocheck to a big 7-year deal. We'll talk about that. We'll get into all of that and more. But first, thanks for joining me, Steven. How are you?
Good. It's been an interesting couple of weeks as a Rangers fan, and especially for me. Look, I'm almost at the point where I enjoy the offseason more than watching actual games. It's just, I've always been fascinated by the business side of hockey, CBA, free agency, looking at what buyouts are going to be like. So the off season for me is basically Christmas. It's my hockey Christmas.
Just putting together the roster is what you like doing.
Yeah, and it's the draft, and then there's prospect development camp where you have some interesting names that are joining your team on invites, and maybe years later those players will actually show up again, like Barclay Goodrow, who was invited to Rangers prospect camp, I think in 2009.
Oh, really? And look, here he is now.
Exactly. And those are always the interesting stories that years later, the years down the line, that I always like to look back on. And sometimes I still go over like old rosters of development camps to see if a name really pops out. But yeah, it's been an interesting couple of weeks for the Rangers. The draft was really interesting. No first round pick, but they did make some good selections. They also made some selections that were not too popular, but once you get to the 5th and 6th and 7th round, can you really get that upset about it? I don't really think there's much to get too upset about. But yeah, I think Drury has done really well the last couple of weeks. Of course, offloading Patrick Nemeth is a big deal.
Big trade. Huge makeup trade there.
But yeah, Vinny Trocheck, look, he's a guy that I've wanted for about, I started talking about him like during the season even. And when we were up against the Carolina Hurricanes, it was even more evident that the Rangers needed a guy like him on their team, because when we went up against Carolina in the second round, the games where we struggled were the games where Trocheck was playing well. The games where Trocheck was being used as a shutdown line. And that's what the Rangers have been lacking. Yeah, I like Ryan Strome. Don't get me wrong. He's done great for this team. He's been here for, I think, 4 years now, almost 4 years. He's been good for the Rangers, but he's a little bit too similar to Mika Zibanejad in the way he plays, whereas Trocheck is more 200-foot player, great on faceoffs, plays defensive zone shifts. And you can take all those responsibilities a little bit away from Zibanejad's game and have Zibanejad focus more on what he does best. Have Zibanejad focus more on offense. And Trocheck is now your shutdown guy down the middle.
He's a solid two-way player, Trocheck is. I have nothing wrong with Trocheck, the player. And I know you've been hinting at wanting him from those Twitter spaces we had in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But my problem with Trocheck, I think he's great on paper. I mean, on paper, it's not as intimidating, the Rangers roster, as like the Maple Leafs. But you know what? The Maple Leafs haven't gotten out of the first round with that core of players they've had. And they still haven't gotten out of the first round since 2004. And the Rangers just made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So yeah. I'm just looking to see what Trocheck looks like.
If you want to talk about the Maple Leafs as being intimidating, it's all bark, no bite, that team.
Right. I mean, you see, like, I'm saying, like, the big name players, like you see Matthews, you see Nylander, Marner, and Tavares, and then Morgan Riley on the blue line.
But still, they haven't won a playoff round since 2004.
Right.
The Toronto Maple Leafs drafted 2 players last week in the draft that weren't even born the last time they won a playoff round. That's how long it's been.
Right.
And the Rangers have been to the Stanley Cup final in 2014, to the conference final now 3 times in the last 13 years, 2012, 2015, and now this year. the Rangers, and in between that, they've gone through a rebuild where they had top picks. The Rangers have done a really good job getting back to winning ways, whereas other teams have been struggling. I think Trocheck makes this team more balanced. The Rangers really overachieved last season when they made it to the conference final, which is not a bad thing. It's just not something you can build on. It's not something you can count on to happen again. It's like, it's like going all in. The moment the cards are dealt every time and hoping to win every time. That's just not how it works. But Trocheck makes us a better team. We're replacing Strome with Trocheck, makes us more balanced. Hopefully, it makes us better 5-on-5 because that was our biggest weakness last season. And Trocheck does everything Strome does offensively. He had the same number of goals, the same number of even strength goals. They were born on the exact same day, July 11th, 1993. They both play with number 16. They're carbon copy players of each other, with the difference that Trocheck does so much more than Ryan Strome.
So you're saying that you were fine giving him the extra, like, what was it, 2-3 years maybe on that deal, on Trocheck's deal?
Look, the term 7 years, it may look like much, and it is. It's the max term you can give to an unrestricted free agent. But if you look at the structure of the contract, it's not too bad. You have a no move clause in years 1, 2, and 3, which I'm okay with because you're not planning on trading him anyway in years 1, 2, and 3. Then year 4, it's a no trade clause with a 12-team no trade list. So he can block a trade to only 12 teams. That still leaves you with 19 teams you can trade him to. Year 3, so that's year 4. Year 5, he has a 10-team no trade clause. In year 6 and 7, it's a 6-team no trade clause. The years I'm worried about is year 6 and 7. When you're talking about 2027, 2028. But he can only block a trade to 6 teams, which realistically leaves you with 25 teams you can trade him to. Because, there's 32 teams in the league. The Rangers are one of them, 31 minus 6. 25 teams you can trade him to in those final 2 years. It's not bad. It's much better than the Zibanejad contract in terms of clauses, because that deal for Zibanejad has a no move clause until the final week before the trade deadline in his last season.
Yeah, so it's basically going to be impossible to trade him.
Yeah, he's going to either be bought out or finish his contract with the Rangers. But Trocheck, look, and this is the thing I was mentioning yesterday in the Twitter space. Did we overpay for Trocheck? Yeah, a little, but that's free agency. You always overpay in free agency when you go after top 6 players.
That's just to get the guy, to make sure no other team gets him. You give him a little extra.
Andrew Copp got the exact same cap hit at $5.625 million for 5 years in Detroit. Ryan Strome got $5 million a year for 5 years with Anaheim. I would gladly pay the $625,000 every year extra to get Trocheck instead of Strome. And those final 2 years, like I said, I explained it. Those final 2 years are not a concern to me. I think Trocheck is one of the better free agent signings this team has made in the salary cap era.
Bold claim. I mean, I again, like I said, I don't have a problem with the player. I actually really like Trocheck. I like that he's over 50% for his career in faceoffs. I like that he throws the body around. Yeah. He's a reliable two-way player in your own end. He's played under Gallant with Florida with the Panthers, so he's got history there. My problem is how the cap situation is all going to play out. I want the Rangers to make sure that they can extend Lafreniere and Miller next offseason. If they have to get to a point where, they have to move on from one of their young guys because they can't afford them anymore, I'm going to be upset, because the whole point of the build was to get the younger players to be the core, the nucleus of the team. I mean, right now the nucleus is Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin, of course, and just Sirkin. Fox is coming to his own. But I want to see Lafreniere, Kakko, Keandre Miller, Kravtsov. And Hedl. I want to see those guys step up, but if they step up this year, let's say Lafreniere gets 30 goals, how much money is he going to ask for? Let's say Miller ends up getting 50 points as a defenseman. I'd love that. But how much money is he going to ask for now? Are you backing yourself into a corner here with this deal or no?
Well, I think this signing basically solidifies what I've said all year. Jacob Trouba is not going to be a Ranger after the 2022-23 season. I know his no move clause only expires in 2024, but players waive their no move clause all the time. I'm pretty sure Patrick Nemeth waived his to go to Arizona because I'm 99% sure that team is on everyone's no trade list.
Did Burns have a no trade clause or no move clause?
Exactly. And there's always ways around it. And you don't have to be an asshole like the Tampa Bay Lightning did with Ryan McDonough, which was I mean, I understand it's a business, but man, that was dirty what they did to McDonough. But look, Jacob Trouba and the Rangers have a good understanding. Jacob Trouba knows, and these players know what the salary cap is. I'm pretty sure Cap Friendly is a website that players look at, because it's part of their job. And Jacob Trouba knows that the Rangers are up against the cap, and they're going to have to re-sign Keandre Miller and Alexis Lafreniere next summer. Philip Hedl is an RFA with arbitration rights. Who else do we have? We have Schneider coming up the following year as an RFA. So Trouba makes the most sense. And if you talk to a player, and you explain the situation, players waive their no move clause. And the important thing to realize is that a no move clause is not always about staying in the same place. A no move clause can also be used to dictate where you go next. If you have a no move clause, you can basically choose your destination. Jacob Trouba can say to Chris Drury, listen, Chris, I understand this situation. Here are the 3 destinations I would waive my no move clause for.
Detroit's got to be on there.
Yeah, I talked to my wife. These are the 3 locations that my wife and I would be willing to move to. And he can say that. That's the no move. That's what the no move clause is for. But if you look at Trouba's no trade clause in 2024, and this is where he would lose the leverage. In 2024, when it expires, he only has a 15-team no trade list. So he can be traded to half the league without his consent in 2024. So it makes sense for Trouba. It makes sense for Trouba to use the no move clause to make sure he goes somewhere where he wants to be.
So to use it right now. All right. So you're saying you're looking at it from both ends of it. I understand that. Yeah, I always just assumed that it would just be easier to do it, when his full no move clause expires and it's the modified no trade clause.
Yeah,
but I guess you're right though, because Nemeth had to have waived his no trade clause, right? Because
and McDonough waived his no trade clause for Nashville. Of course, they played a dirty game where they said if you don't waive, but that was a no trade, not a no move. They said if you don't waive, we're going to put you on waivers, and Columbus is going to claim you.
They knew Columbus was going to do it beforehand.
Well, yeah, they probably had conversations with the Columbus Blue Jackets. It doesn't mean Columbus was going to get McDonough, but all you need is one team saying, if that guy hits the waiver wire, we'll put in a claim. That's all you need. You only need one team. And if another team puts in a claim, he goes somewhere else. But they just needed the one team for the leverage. But that was a dirty move.
They were going to put him on waivers for purpose of a buyout, right? Because they have to.
No. They were just going to put him on. They were just going to put him on waivers.
Oh.
And a player of McDonough's caliber is going to get claimed off waivers.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I see. Yeah.
So there's always ways around it. And Marian Gaborik waived his no trade clause to go to Columbus. Players waive their no trade clauses all the time. And Jacob Trouba has to realize if he doesn't waive in 2023, he's going to be traded in 2024 anyway. So why not use that no move clause as leverage to pick where you go next, pick your destination.
And I won't even nitpick if this does happen. I won't even nitpick the return because I'll just be happy the cap space is freed up. Yeah. But then there'll be people that are complaining, oh, they never should have signed him to this deal. They went too long. They gave him too much money. And, the Rangers screwed up their cap situation. They screwed the rebuild. I won't nitpick with that. Everyone, no one is perfect. Drury made a mistake last offseason signing Nemeth. Simple as that. He made a mistake. Nobody's perfect. But he's done a pretty damn good job ever since then. Mm-hmm. Honest, come on, the mod trade, Vetrano for a 4th round pick.
but you also have to realize that when Trouba signed that extension, none of our current defensemen were in the NHL.
Right. He was acquired to be a 50-point, like,
Well,
to be an experienced defenseman because we didn't have the.
Yeah, he was acquired when our best defenseman was Brady Shea.
Yeah, exactly.
Adam Fox just finished his third year in college. Ryan Lindgren was just finished his third year in college and played a couple of games in Hartford on an ATO. Keandre Miller was just finished his first year in college. Braden Schneider wasn't even drafted yet. Zach Jones wasn't drafted yet. Matthew Robertson wasn't drafted yet. Nils Lundqvist was just 1 year away from his draft, and he just had his first full season in the SHL the moment Jacob Trouba signed. It's only been 3 years.
Kravtsov and Shesterkin had like basically just signed their entry-level contracts.
Yeah, exactly. And Philip Hedl just finished his first season,
right?
First full season. You know, he had a year in Hartford, and then he had a full season in the NHL. I know it's only 3 years ago, but that is the situation we were in 3 years ago. We hadn't even drafted Kako yet, let alone Lafreniere.
And we didn't know that COVID was going to happen and that the salary cap was going to stagnate. We were expecting the salary cap to go up a significant amount.
Yeah, and you know, I know the owners have done a really the owners have done a good job keeping the NHL competitive because they took on the debt that the COVID pandemic caused. If the owners wouldn't have done that, the salary cap would have dropped to like maybe 60 million, but they artificially kept it up. And that's why the salary cap's not going to go up, because that money has to somehow be repaid to the owners. The owners basically loaned the NHL and the players money to keep the salary cap up artificially.
Right.
But if that wouldn't have happened, I'm pretty sure there would have been either compliance buyouts or maybe a cap reduction on contracts signed prior to 2020. But yeah, when Trouba signed that contract, the Rangers were in a completely different situation.
Now they have Lafreniere. Now they didn't know they were going to win another lottery, so now they have another contract they're going to have to sign. And I hope Lafreniere breaks out this season. I'm rooting for him to have a breakout year. I don't want him to have a low ball year so that they could bridge him. Like, I want him to break out so they could give him like a long-term extension, not a bridge deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Going to be an interesting 12 months for the Rangers for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, and then with the Nemeth trade, you know, it was a mistake, but he made up for it. Sucks that you had to give up a second-round pick, but you know what? It's a second-round pick from 2025.
Yeah,
and
that's actually a really good point.
Right, that's good right there. It's not a second-round pick next year or this coming year. You know, 23 or 24. It's 25. So
yeah, it's a really good point.
Down the road.
It's like using your credit card to pay a bill. Yeah, it sucks, and you have to pay it back, but you're given time to pay it back. Drury now has 3 years to recoup a second-round pick.
Right, and I'm sure he'd be able to do that.
And if
you don't
trade
need
Trouba,
to, but you can.
If you trade Trouba, you're going to get the return for Trouba is probably going to be similar to what the Devils gave up for Subban in 2019.
Okay, I think that's pretty fair, actually, because
I think they got like 2 second-round picks and a player.
Because the whole league will probably know, like, right? So if he's only like accepting a trade to 3 teams, then you know that limits the options. Yzerman could lowball the Rangers and just be like, here's a second or whatever, and their second is better than everybody else's offer, and there you go. Yzerman fleeces once again. I could totally see that happening. I see if Trouba goes in a trade in next year, I see Detroit being candidate number 1, destination number 1 for him.
It's possible, and
because it's his hometown, and you know his buddy cop is there now. Detroit's on the up and up. They have a nice, solid squad that they're starting to build. I think in a couple of years they'll be a really good team.
Yeah, and Detroit has the cap space to take that on. You know, next year you have Tyler Bertuzzi, Pius Suter, Oscar Sundqvist, and Adam Ernie. Let's see, Olli Mata. They're all UFAs. You know, that's and these are contracts. Alex Nedeljkovic, $3 million comes off the books. Tyler Bertuzzi, 4.7 comes off the books. Pius Suter, 3.2. Oscar Sundquist 2.7, Adam Ernie 2.1. All these contracts add up, and if you replace those guys with your own prospects, and Detroit has prospects that are coming up. You know, they've been drafting really well. They're going to call up these players. It wouldn't surprise me if Detroit goes after Subban. If Subban, who went to college in Michigan,
You're Trouba, right?
sorry, Trouba went to college in Michigan. Played for is it the Wolverines?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You know, he's from Michigan himself. You know, he was born there. So Detroit makes the most sense. And yeah, you can probably get a second round pick and a prospect, or maybe 2 second round picks and a roster player for Trouba. And that would then free up that $8 million in cap space that you could use for Lafreniere and Miller. And you would redistribute that salary across the rest of your team. But yeah, that's something we'll worry about next year. For now, the Rangers are in a position where, you know, they need to worry about being able to keep Tyler Mott first, which is going to be hard enough as it is.
Yeah, that's what I also wanted to get to. So Kakko, with that Nemeth trade, they freed up just enough space to potentially sign Kakko. They have $2 million, I think.
Yeah.
$2 million and change. Right?
Yeah. So right now on the roster, they have 11 forwards, 5 defensemen, and 2 goalies. So they still need a defenseman and a forward. If you sign Kakko, let's say you sign Kakko for $2 million, that leaves you with 2.8. You still need a defenseman. Let's say you call up Zach Jones or Nils Lundqvist, depending on which one is going to make the team. That's $925,000. You're going to be left with, what's that going to be? 1.9. That's not going to be enough to sign Tyler Mott, and you still need either a 13th forward or a 7th defenseman. So I don't think Tyler Mott is a guy that they can actually afford right now. Which the only way I can see them being able to afford Tyler Mott is if they trade away Ryan Reeves, which I don't see happening.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. Unfortunately, I mean, I like Reeves' energy to the locker room, but the money that you're giving him for his play on the ice is definitely not worth it. I will just say that. I love Reeves to death. Love him, but I would rather have Mott on the team. Like,
let's also not forget that we still have $3.4 million in cap penalties this season for Shattenkirk, D'Angelo, and Girardi.
There you go.
That all comes off the books in 2023. So you're going to have that $3.4 million. If you trade Trouba, that's going to free up another $8 million. All of a sudden, you're talking about $11 million that you could redistribute. Reeves coming off the books is 1.7. So let's say you replace Reeves, you replace Trouba, you deduct a couple of millions for that. You're going to have money to sign Lafreniere, Miller, and Hedl. Good. And then next year is going to be where really it becomes interesting with what kind of entry-level contracts are going to make the team. Because you're going to have to play these players. And the only downside of the Trocheck contract is that Hedl's going to be a third-line center again.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have a problem with it if he rolled all of his lines out. Like, don't just stick with 2 top lines. Just use the third line. Like, but don't just use it for 10 minutes in the game. Use them. If you could roll all of your lines, that's what Colorado did. Like, I was impressed by how like effective all their forwards were. Every single one of them in the finals.
There was a game in the playoffs against the Carolina Hurricanes, I think, where Hedl scored twice, and he had the lowest even strength time on ice of all forwards.
Unbelievable.
So
that's what bothers me. I don't want it to be a top 6. I want it a top 9. Use top 12, whatever. Use all of your forwards. I don't care. Distribute the ice time.
Like I said, Hedl on the third line is the only concern I have. But look, if Hedl proves that he's good enough to be promoted to the second line, then we're gonna have a really good third line with Trocheck centering that one. That's gonna be your shutdown line.
There you go, right there. Yep. Good third line center, Trocheck would be, but I mean, with Panarin, would Trocheck be that player, that puck retriever for Panarin, or no? Because I know he's a great forechecker, Trocheck, but is he fit that? I'm going to go along the boards. I'm going to fish the puck
Well,
out for Panarin.
we're gonna
If you
have
have
to
those
see.
qualities.
We're gonna have to see what kind of chemistry Trocheck has and with which players, because that's something you never know when you go after a guy in free agency. That's something you only find out in practice and once you start playing games. But yeah, the top three, like your top three centers being Zibanejad, Trocheck, and Hedl, in whatever order you want to put them. I'm happy with that.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I mean, people wanted Dubois. It was a little difficult, I'd say, to make a trade because I don't want to give up too many assets. I like what we have here. I would definitely don't want to give on Kakko yet. Some people are saying, come on, he's never hit his stride yet, but he hasn't had consistent playing time in the top six. Give him this year, see how he does, and then I'll make a decision. I would make a decision.
The Sedin twins didn't hit 50 points in a single season until they were 25.
And what year? How old were they when they came into the league? Like teenagers, right?
Yeah, I think they stayed in Sweden 1 year after they were drafted, and they came over at age 19. But
there you go.
Not every player is gonna score 30 goals and hit 70 points at age 20. And am I disappointed in Kakko? Yeah, I want to see more, but I also want to see more from Lafreniere, and I want to see more from Miller. Miller had a really strong finish to the season, by the way.
Yeah,
I hope he can build on that. If Miller can carry on his postseason form, man, we're in for a treat. I would love to see a Miller Fox pairing.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be like incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean, what we were talking about before, if we trade Trouba, we already have his replacement Schneider. Schneider could just move up one D pairing.
Yeah.
And then we have the replacements. I don't know if the Rangers would ever do this. Go with Jones Lundqvist as a pairing. If Gerard Gallant would go with that.
I mean, you don't really have to. You don't have to. You can go with a Jones Schneider pairing and then Lindgren Lundqvist.
Yeah, you could do that. Could see how Gerard Gallant does it. I heard that he was doing some mock lineups yesterday during the presser. So that was interesting. I also heard a quote from Brennan Othman saying when he was in camp and he played with Panarin. Panarin sent them a backdoor pass, and Othman tapped it in, and he asked Panarin, like, how did you do that? And Panarin's simple response was just confidence.
Yeah.
And that's what Othman took out of all that, to I guess it helped him elevate his play. Like that's what he needs to play with. So I mean, do you see Othman as having a chance to get a spot in this lineup coming out of camp?
I never rule it out, but with the way the team shapes up now, I think the wing positions are pretty much set. You're gonna have Kreider, Panarin, Lafreniere, and then probably Hunt on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And on the right, you're gonna have Kakko, Kravtsov. You still have Blais in the mix as a winger, and then Gauthier, Reeves. Barclay Goodrow. Is Goodrow going to be your fourth line center? If he is, where's Carpenter going to play? I really like the Ryan Carpenter signing, by the way. I think it's a good insurance player to have in case Gustav Riedel that they signed from Sweden doesn't work out, or in case one of the young kids is not performing. You have like a 31-year-old guy that just enters the lineup that knows what NHL hockey is all about. Also played under Gallant, by the way, in Vegas.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
Reeves, Carpenter, Trocheck. Now we have 3 players we signed in free agency. Actually, we traded for Reeves. But we signed 2 players in free agency this week that played under Gallant before. But it's good to have a player. It's good for your 13th forward to be a guy like Reeves or Carpenter instead of Dryden Hunt or Greg McKegg. Nothing against Dryden Hunt or Greg McKegg, but your 13th forward should be a veteran guy that can jump in at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I mean, I like Hunt, but I like him in a bottom 6 role. And to what you're saying about all these options, that's it. The Rangers have options.
Yeah.
If anyone gets hurt in the bottom 6, we saw it last year. Blake got hurt, tore his ACL, out for the season. You don't know what's going to happen. So you need to be
Exactly. Yeah.
prepared for that. And
Mhm.
the Rangers did that, getting Carpenter. I'm assuming it was a cheap contract because they don't have a lot of cap space to work with.
750K.
There you go. And I believe Rydell is also 750K too, right?
Let me check for you.
Cap friendly.
Also 750. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm interested to see what's up with it. I've never seen Rydell play, however you pronounce his name. I'll have to get that. If he makes the lineup, I'll have to nail that pronunciation.
I mean, for English speakers, just replace the Y with 2 E's.
Rydell,
and then it's close. Then you're close enough.
Rydell. Okay.
Rydell.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about him, but he's 27, right?
Yeah.
So not. I guess you could call him young Johnny Brodzinski. Remember that when Sam Rosen called him?
Oh yeah. No, I love it when that happens. When a new player appears in the organization, and not just Sam Rosen does this, but someone else did it on the broadcast too. They were talking about Anthony Greco. And they go,
yeah, he's not.
The young kid from Queens, like the dude's almost 30, man. He's not a prospect.
Yeah,
anymore.
he's not a kid. He's he's like 28, 29, something like that.
No, but I like the way the team is shaping up. Othman's gonna have to really earn a spot on the team. You know, can he do it? I don't know. We'll see. I think he's gonna get a couple of games at least. You know, you can play him for 9 games without burning a year of his ELC. And it also depends on what the Rangers think is best for his development. If the Rangers feel that playing bottom 6 minutes in the NHL is better for his development than going back to juniors, then they might keep him on the team.
Yeah, so he would probably get a 4th line role then.
Yeah.
I don't know if probably Kravtsov needs to finally crack this lineup. I mean,
it's not just Kravtsov. You have all these guys, you know, Hedl needs to take that step. Kravtsov needs to take that step. Kakko, Lafreniere, Miller needs to show that he can do it for a full season. All these kids are. Who's the oldest one out of these kids? It has to be Hedl. Hedl, the 2017 draft. He's turning 23 in September. He was early September birthday, so he was one of the youngest players in his draft class. I think he's like 10 days older than Brady Tkachuk, who was drafted in 2018, a year later. So yeah, Philip Hedl, almost 23. These kids have to be given the opportunity to show what they can do. And I think Jason Katina said this on Twitter, and it perfectly summed it up in one sentence. If you're not going to trust these kids now, then when?
Yeah, and you know, I know we've kind of joked about, you know, Gallant lying to the media, but he better not lie on this one, because he said, I expect Kakko, Lafreniere to be in the top 6. That's essentially what
he also said last year that there was going to be a captain.
Yeah, he did. He did say that.
So yeah, look, it's gonna be an interesting season, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Othman could make the team, or he could go back to juniors. You know, I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. It was a really fun conversation. We talked about his time in Switzerland. We talked about going back to the OHL, the support he got from the Rangers. And one of the things he said was, you know, that when he was younger, he played center, but then Shane Wright joined his team in the Greater Ontario Hockey League for the Don Mills Flyers. So he moved to the wing. But yeah, Othman is comfortable playing left and the right side. So it gives the Rangers a little bit more flexibility if they want to go that route. But yeah, over the next coming years, they're gonna have some interesting bottom 6 players in Berard and Adam Shikora, Will Cooley, Adam Edstrom. They're all gonna fight for only a handful of spots. I think Othman has the talent to be a top 6 contributor, though.
I mean, it's a ice cold take of the week, I think.
I guess we'll find out in a couple of years.
yeah, we will. But yeah, I mean, and then getting to the draft too, like I want your opinions on Sikora and who is the second guy we drafted? Bryce
McConnell Barker. Yeah.
McConnell Barker. Okay, so finally a center with that second pick, right?
That was our second pick in the third round, and then we had Noah Laba, another center, in the fourth round.
There we go.
And
So
I think we picked a third center too. Hold on, let me think. We had Barbashev.
all these guys though are like future
see.
depth players. So guys,
Oh, Zachary Karpa, son of Dave Karpa, former Ranger.
Okay, there you go. So I'm just saying, I just think that all of these players that we've drafted, like Berard, Brody Lamb, even maybe, who am I missing? Maybe Cooley. Those guys could fill out your roster. Like they're good players that could fill out third,
the
line.
interesting thing about this draft is that the Rangers did exactly what they should have done. This was not the draft to swing for the fences. If your highest pick is in the second round, the Rangers have those kind of players already. They have them on their team or in the organization. This was the perfect draft to go after guys that normally would cost you too much in free agency. If you look at the last couple of off seasons, you see that guys like Arturi Lekkonen, Yanni Gourde, Barclay Goodrow, Blake Coleman. It's just a coincidence that those last three played for Tampa. But those kind of players, the bottom six contributors, are usually very hard to find in free agency because they cost too much. So you want to develop those players yourself. And that's where guys like Brett Berard come in. And Adam Sikora is another one. Adam Sikora from Slovakia is a winger who is comfortable playing left or right side. Doesn't really matter to him. But he is full of energy. He and Berard actually have a lot of things in common with the way they play. But I think Sikora is a little bit more physical. He just doesn't stop. He just keeps skating back and forth. His skating without the puck is really impressive. He's playing on a penalty kill in the Slovak Professional League against grown men, and I've watched games where he's actually for the full 2 minutes on the penalty kill, and he's making plays, and that's the kind of player the Rangers needed desperately in their prospect pool. We've had Kakko, we've had Kravtsov, we've had Lafreniere. Now we get like the bottom six prospects, like Will Cooley, Adam Edstrom, Brett Berard, and now this guy. I'm really excited about this guy. He's still 17. He's only turning 18 in September. I think he's the youngest player drafted this year. If not the youngest, he's definitely top 3 because he missed the cutoff by, I think, 7 days or 8 days. He was born on the 7th of September. The cutoff is the 15th. So if he was born 8 days later, he would have been eligible for next year's draft. That's how young he is. The interesting thing with Sikora is what's going to happen now, because they can either send him back to Slovakia or they can have him play in the WHL for the Medicine Hat Tigers, because the Medicine Hat Tigers drafted him first overall in the CHL import draft about a week before the NHL draft.
Wow, so he must be something special then if he was drafted.
Yeah, well, the CHL import draft is not necessarily about drafting the best player, but drafting the player that you think has the highest probability of coming over. Okay. Philip Hedel was drafted by the North Bay Battalion in the OHL, for instance.
Okay.
But he never went to juniors because he went straight to the AHL. Now, Adam Sikora cannot play in the AHL because of the transfer agreement. Because he was drafted outside of the first round, he cannot play in the AHL for the first year of his entry-level contract because he's still signed in Europe. So he either needs to be released by his European team, or he needs to sign an ELC now, play in Europe for a year, and then the earliest he can play in the AHL in 2023-24. But if you look at a guy like Sikora, the player that really stands out to me as a comparison is Arturi Lekkonen of the Colorado Avalanche, of the Montreal Canadiens, who was traded to the Colorado Avalanche. And the interesting thing is when you look at Lekkonen's career path, he was drafted right around the same time, I think 58th or 59th, and Sikora was 63rd, I think.
It was like 2013 or 14, I think Lekkonen was drafted, right?
Something like that, yeah. And then the interesting thing about Lekkonen, and this is what I would like to see Sikora do, actually. Lekkonen played one more year in his home country and then went to Sweden for 2 seasons, played for Frölunda. And after 2 seasons in Sweden, he came to North America and made the team straight away. He didn't go to the OHL. He went straight to the NHL team. I would love for Sikora to play a year in Slovakia, then go to Sweden for 2 years, and then come over and just make the team. That would be my preferred career path for this.
So that's 3 years then, right?
Yeah. He would in that scenario, he would make his NHL debut a month after his 21st birthday.
Yeah, so another young guy to add to the roster. I think yeah, in 3 years there's probably going to be some openings in the Rangers bottom six. There's got to be.
Well,
Let's say I mean if like I hope Kravtsov and Blay work out, but if they don't, there you go. At some point in the near future, there's going to be openings there.
Yeah, well, in 3 years, which is 2025, Panarin only has 1 year left on his deal.
Mm-hmm.
Kreider only has 2 years left on his deal. So does Goudreau.
Trocheck's no move clause is expired then.
Yeah. So yeah, and we talked about this at the start when we were talking about Trouba. When Trouba signed, it was 3 years ago. Look how much can change in 3 years.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to make life easy, Trouba's contract is probably going to be gone. I hope. I mean, I'm sure Chris Drury loves him as a player, loves to have him around. He obviously values his opinions because, I mean, look at the guys they acquired at the deadline. Mm-hmm. They were all former teammates of his, like in college, and they all worked out. They were all good players.
Yeah, this is nothing against Trouba. I don't want to trade Trouba because he's not a good player. I don't. Because the salary, the cap space it generates is something this team desperately needs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're not going to get much help from, like you said, about the loans and stuff. The cap's not going up anytime soon. A significant amount. It's only going to go up $1 million a year until the loan get paid off, I guess, by the players, right?
Yeah, and that's going to be like 2, 3, maybe 4 years still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so again, no outside help coming in the near future. So, and a buyout looks ugly. I know that. It's like 3-4 million alternating each year for I don't even know how many years, but it's ugly. And
not that I would advocate for this, but let's look at a 2023 buyout for Jacob Trouba. And it's 2.2, then 4.2 for 2 years, and then 2.2 for 3 years, which is not terrible. I've seen worse buyout structures, but man, we're 12 months away from having no cap penalties. Can we, for once, just not have cap penalties on the books?
Right,
because you don't win Stanley Cups when you have millions of cap penalties on the books.
Yeah, you don't win cups when you're paying players that aren't on your team anymore, that are playing for teams you're competing against.
And you know what?
The Rangers are paying D'Angelo right now, and he's playing against us.
For all the cap trouble we're in, at least we're not Vegas.
Yeah, I don't even know what they got back. Future considerations for Pacioretty.
They got nothing back. They had to give Max Pacioretty away.
That's a shame.
They gave Pacioretty away to the Carolina Hurricanes because they needed the cap space. They got nothing in return.
How did Carolina come up with all this cap space?
Well, letting Trocheck go is one.
They got Burns. They got Burns and Pacioretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Didn't they get somebody else too? I thought they got somebody else. Didn't they get somebody else yesterday? Or am I tripping?
Well, they probably got someone else, but is it a big play? Let's see. So they have Pacioretty, who's new. Andre Kashe from the Maple Leafs.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't know that. Okay, that wasn't who I was thinking of.
And then Brent Burns. They basically replaced Tony D'Angelo with Brent Burns.
And an aging. What's Burns? 37.
37. And
37. 3 years left on his deal, right?
Yeah. It's only 5.2 million because San Jose retained 33%, I think.
Oh, right. Yes, I did hear about that.
They still have Jake Gardner on LTIR at 4 million.
And how long is his contract?
Just one more year.
Just one more year. Okay.
But right now, the Carolina Hurricanes have 2 goalies, 6 defensemen, 11 forwards, and they still have 4 million in cap space. So they can just add 2 more players to round out the team, and they're good. But yeah, the Vegas Golden Knights basically trading for Jack Eichel now cost them Max Pacioretty.
Yep.
Because
There you go.
and they were banking on making a run in the playoffs, and then they didn't even make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it could always be worse. The Rangers
It
are not
stinks.
in a bad position.
I think you know what team I think is in a good spot right now. I really like Ottawa. Ottawa's build. They're with
I think
their prospect.
Ottawa, Nashville, and Columbus have improved significantly in the
Yeah,
last couple of years.
Columbus is looking good. They just got Gaudreau. That was
Speaking of, imagine being an Islanders fan and losing out on Panarin in 2011, and now losing out on Gaudreau.
Panarin a couple of years ago. Yeah, 2019.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I can't believe how much money he left on the table. Did you hear that report? It was like 15 to 17.5 million.
Yeah, but he wanted to live closer to home.
So why not New Jersey? That's where he lives.
Because his
I'm not.
sister lives
I won't complain. I'd rather he not be on the Devils. I really.
I know his sister lives in Ohio. I don't know where his parents live, but
Oh, okay.
I mean, just because he was born in New Jersey doesn't necessarily mean that his family still lives there. You know.
That's true. I mean, I like how Columbus is built, but Ottawa has really impressed me. Like I really, really like the build of that team. They have Stützle, now they have Claude Giroux, and then they just added Alex DeBrincat, and not to mention like Chabot and oh my gosh, Brandstrom. I don't know if he's turned out to be good yet.
Oh, I know they have Kachuk, they have Batherson.
Yeah, Drake Batherson. Yeah.
Josh Norris. He's still RFA. They still have to sign him to an extension, but he's 23 years old, a center.
They have Balsers, or did they trade him to San Jose?
No, I think Balsers was bought out by San Jose.
Okay. I thought he was in
a qualifying offer, but the Ottawa Senators they added Cam Talbot, so they have a decent goalie now.
Yep, there you go.
I'm not saying they're gonna make noise in the playoffs, but I think they have a chance to actually make the playoffs.
No, I think that. So to me, they were before past couple years they were an automatic loss. I would call. Now they've shifted out of that. I don't think they're an automatic loss anymore. They have a lot of good players on the team now, and I like their coach. I think he's good to have around, and he gets a lot out of his players. DJ Moore, I think, he used to be the assistant for Toronto, but he gets a lot out of his guys. I like the makeup of that team. Honestly, I really do. I think they drafted Jake Sanderson too, right? Defenseman.
I think 5th overall. He was the 5th overall pick.
They've accumulated a lot of high end talent over the past few years.
7th overall pick or Alex DeBrincat. I'll take DeBrincat any day.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially in this draft. You kidding me? 7th overall pick. Like we got basically some scrub. And now you got a proven 40 goal scorer every single year in the bag.
7th overall, you would have gotten a prospect that's going to take at least 2 years to actually make an impact.
That's what I mean. Like when I say a scrub, like 2 years, you know what I mean? Like in a deep draft class, like next year's draft class, who knows how long it'll take for the 7th overall pick. He could even be ready day one.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the draft class for next year. I've just heard from many people that it's significantly more stacked than this year.
It's a bit deeper at the top. So
deeper. Okay.
At 15th overall, you'd get a better player than you would get this year.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, a 7th overall pick in this year's draft for DeBrincat. I'm taking DeBrincat any day of the week. 40 goals in the bag, guaranteed, basically.
Yeah.
Proven goal scorer. I would have loved if the Rangers could have gotten him, but you know what? I'll take Trocheck. That's fine. They solved the question. They solved the problem. Who's going to be the 2C? It looks like it's going to be Trocheck.
Trocheck's not a superstar, but Trocheck is the player the Rangers needed.
Right. Like I said in the very beginning, it's not like you see Trocheck on paper, right? And it's like, Trocheck, this guy's good for 50 points. Like, why not go after Dubois, who has the potential to be a point per game player if he plays with Panarin, right? Why not go for Kane, who was money with Panarin when they played in Chicago? Why not go for DeBrincat? He's not the big sexy name. It's just the style of play. Like, that's why I want to wait and see. I can't wait for the season to start, for camp to start. I want to see what they look like in action, what the Rangers look like now.
Yeah. By the way, Alex DeBrincat is a really good argument against the whole size debate. The guy's 5'7", and he's a 40-goal scorer in the NFL.
I don't believe in that whole size debate. You know why? Because Matt Zuccarello was like a pipsqueak, and he fought TJ Oshie, and Zuccarello never let size get in the way. It's just like in Star Wars, Yoda. Size means nothing. Size means not.
Yeah, and Artemi Panarin.
Yeah.
So
one of the greatest players of all time, Hall of Famer. Told time and time again, you're too small, you'll never last in this league. And look what he did: 1,000 points, a Stanley Cup, a Hart Trophy, Hall of Fame.
Oh, you're talking about St. Louis?
Yes, St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis, St. Louis attended his first ever draft this year, by the way.
Really? First ever.
Because he went undrafted. He never even attended the draft when he was eligible.
Oh yeah. That's true. I guess, and then after he was signed, he never really had a reason to go to it. So yeah, as a coach in Montreal, they're bringing him back, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think he already signed an extension.
Good. Because I liked him. I liked him there. I mean, it's good. I mean, of course, the Rangers competitors eventually. They're not in the same division, but I like to see. I want to see some teams have success. I want to see certain people have success. St. Louis is one of them, for sure. For me. But yeah, I'm tired of the size argument. Rangers Facebook is nuts. Oh, another small guy that can't play. Okay, let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see. You're telling me that Sakura throws the body around like crazy. He's relentless, and to me, the size doesn't mean anything. What is it going to make you make the hits harder?
Yeah. The other argument that I never want to hear ever again, but unfortunately it's still going to come up, is that European players are soft. Adam Sakura is tougher than most prospects in camp right now.
I don't know why people say that. I guess maybe because they don't understand. Why would you say that?
Yeah, let's leave it at that. Let's not make people angry. Let's leave it at that. They don't understand. Let's just go with that.
I don't know. I mean, I got to see more clips of Sakura skating, because from what I'm hearing is that he's a pretty damn good skater. And I like that. I want players that could skate, that could turn on a dime. I don't want these big bodied players that can't turn.
Yeah, like Brady McNabb.
Right. I want someone that can make an exit by themselves, a zone exit, a zone entry. Like, you don't have to be like a ballerina on ice, but just make good cuts, turn quickly. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And Trocheck is fast, right?
Well, I mean, he's not as fast as Vetrano, but yeah, he can skate.
Okay. Well, I'm a strategist. I live and die by like the X's and O's.
But all I wanted was to improve compared to last season. The best player we're losing in free agency is Ryan Strome, and we just signed an upgrade. Even strength
is an upgrade too. Because
the only player that I'm gonna miss is Tyler Mott.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, that's why I give the Rangers a B on free agency day 1 and 2. And I like the Halak signing. I was calling for it for weeks, and it happened. And I'm glad that they took Halak and not Martin Jones, or who is the other scrub? Grice. I'm glad they went with Halak. I'm glad they went with Halak.
Don't start talking about Thomas Grice, because I'm gonna say things I regret.
Okay. Well, we won't talk about him.
All I'll say is this: if you want to know my problem with Thomas Grice, look up Thomas Grice helmet.
Okay.
And you can read about the controversy.
All right, that's for you. That's for you listeners if you're interested in that. I don't want to know about any of that stuff. But Halak, great signing for me. A little bit expensive if I had to nitpick. I thought he was going to come in a little bit cheaper than 1.55. I think it was 1.55, but I thought he was going to come in around 1 million. But beggars can't be choosers, is what I said, and I'm glad Halak is the guy, because He's
And
been there. He's done that. He's been on deep
Mhm.
playoff runs. He's been on winning teams.
And we signed Louis Domingue.
And yeah, spicy pork Domingue. The new Keith Kincaid.
Yeah. I mean, Louis Domingue probably earned his contract in the playoffs, going up against us.
Yeah. If you can't beat him, join him. But we did beat him, so he's gonna. Well, in
Yeah.
his case, if you can't beat him,
From
join him. Yeah,
from
exactly.
his point of view, yeah.
From his point
yeah,
of view.
yeah.
There you go. Now, go backstop Hartford for us.
Yeah, I love that he tweeted. Does anyone have any recommendations for
Yeah,
food in New
I
York?
saw, I saw
And people
that.
were like, "You're not going to New York, buddy."
I saw that. Yeah. Speaking of backup goaltenders. Oh, actually, I shouldn't even call him this, but I mean, I've been asking for weeks.
Mhm.
Asking for
Oh,
Kevin Weeks.
asking
Oh,
for weeks. That should be the hashtag. Asking
that's
for
what it's
weeks.
been. It's been
Yeah.
that for. I gotta do it. I gotta do it for today. Day 52. I'm still getting nothing. Just
Yeah.
the occasional like I will like this tweet and
Mhm.
then nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm-
So, one thing I'll say about Domingue is that it's not necessarily guaranteed that he'll play for Hartford.
Really,
Because he still has to clear waivers, and I think a couple of years ago
it
the
was a
Maple
one way.
Leafs.
It was a one way contract.
Well, that,
Was
that
it?
doesn't really matter because
Huh?
waiver status is based on years and age. But so yeah, he's
Okay.
not waiver exempt. But the what I was gonna say is a couple of years ago the Maple Leafs signed 2 goalies for their minor league team, and then put them both on waivers, and both were claimed.
Oh, that's such a Maple Leafs thing to have
I
happen.
forget who the goalies were that they signed. I need to look that up.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah, honestly, that is a Maple Leafs thing to happen.
Yeah,
It's so them.
that is a very Maple Leafs thing to happen for sure. Yeah.
All right, well, Steven, thanks so much for joining once again. You're the
Anytime.
reserved guest for Ice Cold Takes.
Yeah, and it's if you want to talk about prospects, I'm always up for it.
Yep.
And with
If you don't
prospect camp currently underway, it's fun. I just released my Brennan Othman interview earlier this week, so if anyone is interested in that, it's on foreverblueshirts.com. And I have some more coming up, like Matthew Rempe, Brett Berard, Oliver Tarnstrom, Adam Edstrom, and I think starting September, October, I'll start reaching out to our new draft class.
There you go. Nice. You gotta get him before MSG Networks puts him in the Pentagon. They don't let anybody on the roster have interviews.
I know. The moment they're under contract, is really difficult to get them for an interview.
Yeah. You have to do something. You have to know a guy who knows a guy or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
But hey, maybe one day they'll allow me to reach out to players under contract. I don't know. I just enjoy this stuff. I'm not doing it for financial gain. I'm just doing it because I thoroughly enjoy talking to players and getting to know their backstory. So if the Rangers ever want to invest in a little prospect coverage, I'll do it for free. Just give me access.
StatBoy Steven is offering his hand
Just
now.
Just give me no payment required. Just give me access. I'll write one interview a week. I'll do 52 in a year.
Do some content there. I'll be the official podcast. Actually, you know what? There's other podcasts out there, that other Rangers podcasts that are better than me, that are deserving of being the official podcast of the Rangers.
Yeah, but do they have their own T-shirts though?
Oh, oh man, damn. Oh, low blow. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a nice design. I'm currently changing the. Okay, Ice Cold Takes listeners. Last thing before we log off, I'm currently changing the cover art slightly, very very minor, to have maybe like on the Lady Liberty like a baseball helmet, because I want to talk about the Mets now that hockey's over, and changing it to Ice Cold Takes, a New York sports podcast, instead of Ice Cold Takes, a New York Rangers hockey podcast. Huh?
I think when the Rangers win a Stanley Cup, you should give Lady Liberty a Stanley Cup ring.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Does she have a C? Is she the captain, or nobody gets a C in New York?
No one gets to see.
Not
It's
even
just,
Not even Trocheck in his official announcement. Did you see they misspelled his name? They left out the last C at the end.
oh no.
They spelled it Chek.
Oh my god. Wow. No, see. I should just put like 6 A's on the Statue of Liberty, like on the bottom.
Yeah,
Something like line up all of them and then put like the numbers of the Rangers that were. I mean, the Rangers wouldn't have to do much except just change if they give Trocheck an A this year, just change the jersey, the
the name
name
tag.
on the back. Give him Strom's
Yeah,
jersey. I'm sure they have like the same size. Watch, they're like the same size jersey.
yeah. They were born the
Or-
same year, the same day. They scored the same number of goals. They played the same position. They wear the same number.
So
It's simple. It's an easy jersey swap.
July 11th, perfect. That's a good birthday because my birthday is July 12th. So we're all fresh. We're fresh. We're fresh. Fresh new age. 22 here, 29 with Trocheck.
I thought you were going to say something with 7-Eleven.
Oh yeah, 7-Eleven. Yeah, I don't know if they still do the free slushies anymore on 7-Eleven day. Do they? I have to figure this out. This is important stuff.
I haven't been to a
7-Eleven
7-Eleven in 5 years, man.
Free Slurpee day.
The
How to
last
get
time
a
I
free
was in okay. One final question before we go. Do you know the country that has the most 7-Eleven locations?
I'm assuming it's not the United States of America.
No, it's not.
I don't know. I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark. I'm gonna say Iran.
It's Japan.
It's Japan?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, the last time I was at a 7-Eleven was in Sweden, in Stockholm. Apparently they have it there too.
That's a random fact of the day. There's just okay. So they do have free Slurpee day. Okay. Yeah, because I know the past couple years they haven't been doing it. It's like before it used to be like you walk in on 7-Eleven, you get a free like a small slushie. And I will always try and do that. But the past couple years they haven't been doing it. I don't know if this deal's been going on for customers since July 1st, but ends Monday. Okay, so I probably missed it. Yep, I missed it. Damn it. All right, no free slushy for me this year. I got to remember next year. Anyways, Steven, thanks so much for joining again. Ice Cold Takes listeners. We'll see you guys next week.